The conference, as you know, is Toward Regulation of Nanomaterials, a conversation between Next, is my pleasure to introduce Wolfgang Porod, Professor Wolfgang Porod, who's the Freiman Professor of Electrical Engineering here at Notre Dame and also the Principal Investigator of ND Nano.
It's a great pleasure for me to introduce, to welcome all of you to this conference, which is jointly organized between the Reilly Center and ND Nano. This is a very exciting time at Notre Dame in the area of nanotechnology. There's also about 80 million that the Board of Trustees recently has approved for research to strategically enhance certain research initiatives on campus. And roughly a quarter of that part of different initiatives is going to be invested or is being invested in the area of nanoscience and technology. Next, I would like to ask Kathy Eggleson up to the podium, and I would like to ask you to join me in giving a round of thank you to Kathy, because this conference would not have happened without her. Kathy, thank you very much.
Welcome to all of you. For the purposes of the overview of the conference, I want to take the title of the conference in two parts. So for the first part, Toward Regulation of Nanomaterials. From the mining industry to the financial sector, the importance of appropriate regulation to the safety of all who labor and the good of all of society cannot be denied. The regulation of engineered nanomaterials is in its earliest stages, yet research and development is proceeding far more rapidly than the legal, ethical, and regulatory frameworks that support their responsible use. In order for the promise of nanomaterials to be broadly realized, public understanding of what nanomaterials are and acceptance of their associated risks and benefits is essential. Also necessary for appropriate regulation is a scientifically valid definition of nanotechnology that is suitable for legal and regulatory purposes. According to the NNI, nanomaterials have a size with at least one dimension in the range of approximately 1 to 100 nanometers. While this definition is useful for many purposes, it is not adequate for purposes of regulation or for assessing risks and benefits. Questions to be addressed in this process at this conference will include: is a single clear and valid definition of nanomaterials to be used in all sectors necessary and attainable? Should the nano size scale be the predominant or sole basis for regulating nanomaterials under new or existing laws and regulations? Which additional chemical, physical, biological, and other characteristics should be considered in regulating nanomaterials? Should disclosing the presence of nanoparticles be required on commercial and consumer product labels? Should interventions in a human physiology on the nanoscale be regulated as drugs or devices? Are testing methods applied in more traditional guideline toxicity studies appropriate for nanomaterials, or do new toxicity study protocols need to be developed? Finally, is it appropriate to categorize nanomaterials for regulatory purposes, and if so, what should the criteria for categorization be? So the second part of the title of this conference is Conversation between Academia, Industry, Law, and Government. And I think this bears some discussion. This sort of conversation is not easy, even within academia. And I wonder how it is that the brightest and most educated among us are sometimes encouraged to keep disciplinary blinders on and have a telescopic vision almost all of the time. I want to propose that for the good of society, some of us at least some of the time, should take a panoramic view. In speaking with Jerry the other day about what we expect of a Reilly Fellow in an interdisciplinary context, I mentioned to him the skill of building a bridge, and he said, "There aren't very many bridge builders." I think this is unfortunate, and I'm going to ask that for 3 days, each and every one of you be a bridge builder. We have carefully selected each and every speaker of this conference, not only for his or her technical expertise, but for the ability and initiative in reaching out and building bridges. So, in that spirit, whether you're a technical person or not, please take in the posters across the hall and ask questions of the people who have their hands in the gloves manipulating the materials.